You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Todd Blanche drowned in fury from protesters as he speaks to National Guard, based on an article by Matthew Chapman. When the state becomes stagecraft, power, not pageantry, Todd Blanche did not show up in Washington, D.C. as an independent authority. He came as an acting attorney general carrying out Donald Trump's political script. The source is plain about who set the course. Trump looked around the city, did not like what he saw, and instructed his people to act. Blanche's job was not to explain policy. It was to thank the troops for helping enforce the president's preferences. The real decision maker. The institutional power here sits with the president, not the man at the microphone. Blanche is the spokesman for decision already made above him, and the National Guard is the instrument being praised for executing it. That matters because the language of gratitude hides command. This was not a spontaneous civic thank you. It was a ceremonial endorsement of a political order where federal power is mobilized to satisfy one man's aesthetic and disciplinary demands. Protest cuts through the script. The protesters did what official Washington so often cannot. They made the underlying conflict audible. Blanche tried to project gratitude while being drowned out by boos and anti-Trump chanting. That is not noise. It is a public rejection of the premise that this is normal governance. The scene exposed the brittleness of a regime that depends on polished language to disguise coercion, vanity, and control. Vanity disguised as governance. The source ties the Guard's duties to Trump's vanity beautification projects and to a president who didn't like the crime or the look of the Capitol. That is the operating logic. Personal displeasure converted into state action. The city becomes a canvas for ego management. Institutions that should answer to law and public need are repurposed to service image, cleanliness theater, and political domination dressed up as improvement. The mall as museum of failure. The Great American State Fair on the National Mall, described as sparse and already stumbling, fits the same pattern. The administration is staging patriotism while producing embarrassment. It wants the look of national confidence without the substance. It wants crowds on command, gratitude on cue, and public order as a backdrop for power. Instead, it gets empty space, setbacks, and citizens loudly refusing the script. What the story really shows. This is not a story about one speech going badly. It is a story about how authoritarian politics tries to normalize itself through ceremony, public works theater, and the dead language of appreciation. The executive gives the order, the bureaucracy launders it, and the public is expected to applaud the results. When the applause turns into boos, the performance fails, but the structure remains. Concentrated power using federal institutions to translate one leader's tastes into the city's reality. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Raw Story for today's article with the automated voice of Ryan. Thanks for listening.